All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining for this special webinar or an interactive session where we will take you through the objective behind which the special drive has been announced and what are the do's and don'ts of the taxpayer and the do's and don'ts or the rights of the officers. There are two things here which we have to understand before we get into the topic. Okay. The one side of the story is that the assessee believes that he is going to be harassed by the officer by asking unnecessary details. The other side of the story is that government believes that there has been a lot of tax evasion and this is being done. And if you see that special drive instruction also, they've given some more modus operandi which is being followed by a lot of people on how they are getting fake registrations and they are passing on fake input tax credit, which is a loss to the government. So these are the two sides of the coin which we are trying to address and see what are the powers the officer has and what are the rights and obligations the taxpayer has as far as this special drive is concerned. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce you to Jatin sir, who readily accepted our invitation. In fact, when we had a short interaction on this topic, that's when I realized that there is a lot of confusion, and I'm thankful to him that he's happy to share his views on this entire special drive related aspect. I'm sorry if I keep repeating this special drive, but this word itself is so special. Let's see whether we make any sense out of this special drive or not. Okay, sir. So thank you very much again, and thanks to participants as well. Uh, First things, so the structure is very simple. I have few set of questions which I would like to ask sir, and after that, if sir wants to add anything, he can add, of course, on apart from the responses which he gives to the questions, and then maybe we'll have 4 or 5 questions from the audience. Right? That's fine, right, sir?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So there's no formal structure here, guys, for these questions. So as and when, depending on what modifications are required, I'll keep doing that and then taking up those questions. And sir, feel free to say that this question may not be relevant. Let's modify the question and look at the answer around it. Whatever way, it's a interactive session. So any way we want to drive it, as long as we are driving the point, that's fine, sir. Okay. So first thing, sir, the basic question is what is this? What is the objective or the idea behind this so-called special drive which the department is promoting everywhere? What is the objective around it, sir?
See, I don't think we should allow the title given to this drive get the better of us. If the government believes that this is important for them, I mean, what is the government doing all this for? It's to benefit society, to weed out mischief makers. So if the government wants to do what they believe is a special drive, they are welcome to do this. The only aspect that we will need to look at in the context of law as students of this new law is that there are no new statutory provisions that have been introduced to support such a drive, which means all existing provisions of law are being pressed into service. So if the government believes that they want to spend this period focusing their energies and their resources to weed out fake registrations and consequent fake credits being passed on, they're welcome to do it. We should also support this and welcome this drive. But as students of this law, we need to bear in mind that there are no new statutory provisions. So therefore, the same statutory provisions that existed until now are going to feed power to do this activity. So therefore, we need to be vigilant for the sole reason that GST is a self-assessment based tax. If I were to make a very poor comparison, our section 59 is like our article 21 of the Constitution. It is so significant that it cannot be lightly disturbed. 59 says, I am the one to do the assessment. If you, as the state, believe that my assessment is wrong, you are entitled. You have a duty, in fact, to challenge my self-assessment. So today, the short conspectus which is being looked at is a 2-point One is a means, the other is an end. The means is fake registration. The end is passing on credit. The means is registration, which is fictitious. The end is passing on credit. If the registration is fake, but B2C sales are being made, then it is outside the purview. If the registration is genuine and the credit is questionable, then that becomes another aspect to consider as far as this exercise is concerned, because the entry into the drive is based on this fake registration. Intelligence will be gathered first from the GST portal based on data analytics. Officers in the field are welcome to add their own additional insights into the intelligence that is being developed. But all this will be done behind the scenes. It's not like there's going to be a discovery after verification. Someone comes in and says, please show me your registration. I feel you are fake. That is not the whole purpose of this. And because if that is the purpose, then if that is attempted, then time is not sufficient to complete this exercise. So therefore, intelligence gathering is first, verification is next. I'll pause here and we continue and then look at various aspects as we assimilate, because I've agreed not to repeat everything that's in the circular. And I think people have members have come in to having digested the circular, the instruction completely. So we will talk about things that are beyond the circular that we need to understand.
Right. Great, sir. So I was just looking at the members list. We have almost 50% chartered accountants and 50% is business community. So we have a good mix of consultants as well as industry people who are there here. Now, second, sir, just for our understanding, what is the difference between a verification, inspection, and search? And in this special drive, what will be done? Will it be an inspection? Will it be a search or verification, sir? Can you just throw some light on this aspect, sir?
If the origin of this entire drive is fake registration and consequent passing on of fictitious credit, then whatever you want to call it, it comes within section 67, because if it is not through 67, then proceedings are illegal. Officer is without jurisdiction, because this is self-assessment tax. Article section 59 cannot be lightly disturbed. So therefore, it has to be 67, which deals with inspection, search, and seizure. And there are certain safeguards. The first safeguard is that an officer not below the rank of joint commissioner should issue an authorization. There's a form prescribed. INS 1 is the form to authorize someone to visit the place of business of a registered taxable person and conduct inspection. So we have to not allow the words used in the instruction. There's also a instruction I came across from Andhra Pradesh, where there's a statement that it is a verification and not an inspection. See, there is, how do I put it very delicately? You cannot be like a friend. You are either a friend or you are a foe. You cannot be midway. You understand? So therefore, 59 cannot be offended if anything less than 67 is invoked. There, that instruction, respectfully, I believe, is without authority of law to say that it is a verification, because there is, once registration has been granted, nobody is saying that they granted the registration by mistake. They have done the verification, Aadhaar authentication has been done. So therefore, it is tremendously important to consider that second time verification has no authority in law. Now, if you consider what should taxpayer do, we need to be vigilant. What does the taxpayer have to hide? Nothing. Taxpayer has nothing to hide. Then taxpayer needs to be fearless. when anyone comes in to do whatever they want to call it, verification, inspection. But please bear in mind, the full body of safeguards available in section 67 are available to taxpayers in these proceedings.
Right. So in a nutshell, the officer will have to have authorization in INS 01. Only then he can enter our premises. Otherwise, he should not be entitled to enter our premises for this verification of my premises for registration purposes. Right. Okay.
Right.
Should he show that copy of INS 01 to me, or and can I take a copy of that for my further references to see whether the correct officer has authorized him or not?
See, the instruction number 1 issued by the government on 2nd February 21 very clearly says that INS 1 should be shown, signature collected on the back of the INS 1 that it was shown, but there is no requirement at this stage to provide a copy. Taxpayer will get an opportunity later to collect a copy and examine the boundaries of this verification come inspection that was carried out. But at the time of visit, taxpayer cannot collect a copy, but he will be shown INS 1. Two aspects to mention for taxpayers' attention. If INS 1 is not shown or INS 1 is stated as not required or not applicable, this taxpayer needs to make note of and perhaps send out a communication to the effect that verification / inspection was conducted on so and so date, and which of the following were the stated fact: INS 1 not applicable, INS 1 not required, INS 1 not available. Which of these three were the position taken by the visiting officers needs to be documented so that it can be appropriately raised in time.
Right. Got it, sir. It's a good point. Now, again, now coming to, can they inspect each and every premise? That means, say they can go to a business area, a central business district, okay, and go to a say commercial complex where there are 50-60 offices. Can they do inspection of all the offices, all the offices there, a mass inspection? Or
No. If you see, there first must be intelligence developed that the registration is fake. Only then will they go to that specific location. This is not carpet bombing where they will go into a complex and verify everybody's registration. That is neither the objective nor resources are available to do such an exercise, because it will be completely futile to say everybody in the apartment, in that shopping complex, needs to be verified. So my sense is that the department also is going to be very mindful of the limitations of resources. They will use very targeted therapy here. They will go and focus on a specific, based on the intelligence gathered, and only verify those taxpayers. So the other taxpayers need not down their shutters and run away for 2 days or 2 months thinking that something is going to happen. Please do your business as usual. Let the government do their job, because it's not like whatever decision or conclusion the visiting officers reach is final. It is
right.
just the first step in a long process of what is to be done.
Right. So in the past, I've seen cases where the taxpayer has filed nil returns for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, and there have been internal communications that please go and check this taxpayer's premise, because from last 1 year he's been filing only nil returns, and due to some intelligence that 2A there are some transactions, but outward supply there are no transactions at all. So how can that take place? So in few instances, I saw that the state authority specifically ask the client to come to office, or sorry, client is the wrong word here, taxpayer to come to office and say, please produce the books of accounts. Okay, so now because of paucity of time, can a identified taxpayer be called to office and say you produce all these books? Only then it means that you are a registered person who is not fraudulent or who has taken the registration in the correct way. If you don't produce the books of accounts, then whatever you're doing is fraudulent activity and I will cancel the registration. Is that something which can be done, or the officer has to visit the premises of the taxpayer?
See, let's not let special drive somehow tell us that the rest of the powers of the officers are suspended. See, this is a drive that will coexist. This drive will coexist along with all other powers. Department will do scrutiny under 61, audit under 65. Life will go on as before. In addition, special attention is being paid to fake registration and fake fictitious credits being passed on. So there's no reason for us to think that anything beyond the terms referred to in these instructions are for some reason illegal for the time being. In any case, there is no provision in this law for officer to call for books of accounts. This is all hangover from the earlier tax era. We need to have some coffee and let go of this intoxication. No calling for books of accounts. So therefore, whether he is filed nil returns, whatever may be, however compelling the suspicion might be, no question of calling for books of accounts. That is without authority of law.
Excellent point. So that's a very good point, that the officer, we should not look at special drive in vacuum, that they are only going to do whatever is required as per the instruction. The regular powers are already there with him. If they're able to exercise in the given circumstances, they can exercise and ask whatever details are required to be asked. Good point, sir. Now, now so we have lot of wings in the GST department. We have enforcement wing, we have DGGI wing, we have audit wing, we have the jurisdictional officer. So which of the wing will be responsible for this entire drive, sir, or this entire exercise?
See, the commissioner is empowered. Commissioner is empowered to delegate and appoint any officer to discharge functions under various sections. There is circular number 3/3/2017 that allocates various officers across various provisions of law. If you see circular 3, it talks about ranks of officers. It does not talk about wings within the department. Wings within the department is a matter of internal allocation of tasks. As long as the officer conducting this proceeding has been properly empowered, we don't have to attempt to distill which wing the officer comes from, because the officer could very well be from vigilance wing, if I were to speak about the state, who's traditionally engaged only in 168, 129, 130 sort of activities. They may also be empowered to carry out these functions for the purpose of section 67. So therefore, but in any case, when somebody visits, all right, there is no question of refusing to cooperate. There is no disadvantage by refusing, by cooperating. So my recommendation is, don't refuse to cooperate. If someone is exercising authority illegally, there is a time when questions need to be raised and can be raised, and taxpayer will be in no prejudice by doing so. So therefore, allow the officer to do his job, ask for all these documents. If it is there, make note of it. If it's not there, make note of that fact also. A time will come, which we will discuss shortly, when these questions need to be put.
Great, sir. Good point. So that leads me to the next question, actually. Sir, from last 4 or 5 days, I am bombarded with WhatsApp messages. Please keep the GST board. Please keep sales invoices. Please keep purchase invoices. Take the printouts of GSTR 9 and 9C. So what are the things which I have to keep ready, so that when the officer comes, everything goes smooth and I'm able to give all the documents to him and close the inspection as soon as I can? So how should I be ready, sir?
Don't do anything. Just be yourself. Get on with life. Because if somebody is looking for fake registration, there is nothing you can do now. If there is someone looking for fake credits being passed on, there is nothing you can do now. If somebody believes that you are already, see, if someone visits a tax, when I say you, I mean a taxpayer. If someone visits your premises, then you already for some reason showed up on their system to be a questionable character. There is nothing you can do now. There is nothing you can do now to start making yourself look better. Just maintain status quo. Let them come do what they want to do. Let them allow them to do their job. They will anyway go and take some action in writing as per law. That time you will come to know what is the allegation, what is the evidence in support of that allegation, and you will have an opportunity to offer your defense. There's nothing. See, this is like students who talk about improving their how to improve handwriting after they have got hall ticket. Now you can't improve your hand. It's too late. Just focus on the exam with your whatever handwriting, scribbled handwriting you have. Write your exam. After you finish the exam, you can work on your handwriting. Nothing needs to be done now.
Perfect. Perfect, sir. Point taken. Right now. So now when there is a visit of the officer at my premises, what are the documents or details the officer can ask? Can he ask me to produce the ledgers? Can he ask me to produce the invoices? Can he ask me to produce bank statements? To what extent can the documents be asked?
My recommendation, passive cooperation. What? Passive cooperation. Whatever is there is there. Whatever is not there is not there. They can be happy with what is given. They can be unhappy with what is not given. They have to now go and do what they want to do about it. This is what is the state of affairs. I will cooperate to the limited extent I am required to cooperate. Don't do anything extra. No books of accounts, no bills, vouchers, registration, ITC register, nothing. Passive cooperation. Cooperate passively. That's all.
Right.
Whatever is there, they're welcome to take a look at it. If they ask you to sit and prepare something, I don't know whether they will be able to give you the kind of time with your limited abilities to sit and generate new reports, pivot tables, Excel workbooks, etc. Passive cooperation.
Right. Excellent, sir. Nice. But can he, ask for verification of stock? Say, can you show me your books of accounts? How many units of stock are there? And I will do a stock verification. They will be, of course, running short of time because they might have a big list of people to visit. But is there a possibility that they can do a stock verification during the process of verifying my premises?
They are welcome to verify whatever they want to verify. It's not, it would be uncharitable for me to say they can or cannot, should or should not. Passive cooperation, let them do whatever they want to do. They are welcome to come to whatever conclusion they want to come to, and then see what is the outcome. See, GST is on self-assessment basis. If the department believes that their interpretation of the law and its application to the given facts results in a different tax consequence, then it is the burden on revenue to establish their case. So if they feel they want to do a stock verification, etc., please keep one thing in mind: no spot recovery. All right, no spot recovery. Those days are gone. So therefore, as long as there is no force being exerted based on some mischievous and sudden computation of significant liability to make immediate tax payments, as long as such proposals are not advanced, please permit the officers to do what they believe is the appropriate procedure that they would have got internal instructions to carry out.
That's a very important point, sir. I would like to highlight this to all our participants that there can be no spot recovery. In fact, there is a detailed circular and there are orders from various high courts, including the Karnataka High Court in the case of Swiggy, where they said even if the taxpayer has selected reason as voluntary and made the payment, but that was during the process of search, that cannot be voluntary at all. So unless the department issues a show cause notice and proves that there is some amount due from the taxpayer, which converts into an order, that amount has to be refunded to the taxpayer. So there can be no spot recovery at all. This is a very, very important point, that just because the officer has come to us or we are required to meet the revenue authorities, and there is one GSTR 1 versus 3B reconciliation issue which is explainable, or there is a 2A 3B mismatch which is explainable, we do not have to pay the taxes immediately. He can issue a show cause notice to her, or a ASMT 10. We will have to provide a reply. And if there is any reason why I have short paid the tax, then I'll have to pay it along with interest, irrespective of whether this exercise is carried out or not. Okay. So actually, the next two questions were in similar lines. So I'll just skip those. The questions were whether the officer can demand for reconciliation between 1 and 3B when he comes and visits us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, nobody can come in and conduct some emergency operation in the guise of special drive. No spot recovery. I will conclude the proceedings. There will be no penalty. I will talk to higher ups and resolve this case for you. All such commitments and offers are all illegal. We should not still believe that such things are possible. Officers of the law are exactly that. They are instrumentalities of the state. They are required to follow the law. There is no section in the law that gives this. That is only in Master Chef where you can get immunity pin. Officer has no power to grant immunity pin to anybody. If there's any taxpayer who believes such offers and acts upon it, he does so at his own peril.
So, in fact, there are a few cases which I have seen where the officers promise that you pay 15% penalty, and I will ensure that the 85% of the penalty gets waived off. But if you look at the law, if the taxes are paid along with interest and 15% of the penalty, even in fraud cases where the taxpayer is involved in something wrong, the law itself, because the taxpayer is now cooperating and not going for litigation, the law itself says I'm waiving off 85% of the penalty. So, and as far as waiving of interest is concerned, nobody can do that. If there is a delay in payment of tax, unless the retrospective amendment of section 50 subsection 3 comes into picture, where you have not utilized that credit, there is no question of waiver of interest. Nobody can promise that, and there is no time limit for demanding interest also, right? So those promises, like sir is mentioning, are promises which can never be fulfilled at all. Okay, so we should not fall in trap of these promises. Now, sir, there is always a lot of questions around this e-way bill data not matching with sales data. Can that be another ground based on which inspection can come up? Yeah, I just trying to think, how will they shortlist people? One is GSTN throws the data. Second is if there is a GSTR 1 versus 3B huge mismatch. But is this e-way bill or e-invoicing data with sales data uploaded in GSTR 1 can also be a trigger point?
See, for someone who is looking for faults, anything may be good enough. Anything may be good enough. So you can't make a laundry list of instances where someone will come in, and whether for these 50 instances they can come in, and then beyond this they cannot come in. As long as the officer, in all sincerity, believes that that data mismatch is an indicator of mischief that empowers him to visit, then he is welcome to canvas that line of thinking. And let's see, there's going to be somebody else who's going to sit in judgment to decide whether the exercise of authority was valid or not. So yes, it is possible they can take variety of information, but let me also say here, linear comparison of two data sources is the most unreliable intelligence anyone can gather. 26AS is not matching with ST3. We have seen thousands of notices. 26AS is not supposed to match with ST3. Therefore, linear comparison is the dumbest intelligence anyone can develop. And let me also share the secret. If someone believes that that much is enough to come in and inspect and issue a notice, please be very happy. You have got a good case on your hands, because somebody sitting higher up in the system has to now lend her credibility to this sort of an investigation and support the demand. Nobody is going to do that. It's better to have a horribly investigated notice than a investigated notice.
True, very true, sir, very true. And all of us know what is the fate of this 26 AS service tax notices which have come. Almost everywhere the demands are being dropped. So, of course, something similar is going to happen for e-waybill matching with sales data. Now, one more constant fear the directors have is that their residents also can be, subject to verification. Is that true, sir? Can the residence of a director or a partner? So it is not added as an additional place of business. The business is being conducted in Koramangala only in some commercial complex. House is in HSR layout. So can a director's house in HSR layout be verified by the officers during this drive or in general, the general powers?
In this drive, since the ingredients, if you see the ingredients of this whole drive is about evasion of tax, there is no bar as to which location they can and which location they cannot inspect. If the department itself states that it is not an inspection, then they have limited their own jurisdiction. But if it is inspection with INS 1 Part B, they can visit the premises if they believe that that is a place where incriminating material may have been kept.
Okay.
So there is
Great.
good reason for directors to be anxious. As long as someone has not done any mischief, there's no reason to be anxious.
Right. Right. So this is all the caution which we had to exercise when the visit is going on or the premises are getting verified. But after the visit, what are the actions which the officer can take, sir? Meaning, can
If
he?
you see
We've already.
if you see the instruction itself, it talks about section 29. It talks about rule 86A. It talks about section 83. It talks about section 74. See, ultimately, whatever these are all a means to an end. Fake registration, passing on credits. Ultimately, from revenue's point of view, it is to raise a demand. Suspension of registration, cancellation of registration, blocking of credits, provisional attachment, and show cause notice. Nowhere does the instruction also talk about spot recovery. So therefore, after the visit, officer will go back and do whatever homework they want to do. Ultimately, it has to culminate in one of these four actions. Registration is either suspended or cancelled. If it is suspended, then there is REG 17, REG 18 procedure that is there. If it is cancelled, revocation has to be applied, 30 days time limit. Please be very vigilant about the time limit for various actions. REG 17, 31, etc. Time limit is shorter. For restoration of cancelled registration, time is shorter. See, look at all the provisions. Officer is not obliged to grant an opportunity for the taxpayer to explain his position because these are emergency provisions. There is no violation of principles of natural justice just because opportunity was not granted, whether 86A or 83 or 29. Officer will take action that he or she believes is appropriate in the circumstances. Please bear in mind, when an officer takes any step, the officer is taking responsibility to be answerable tomorrow when that question is raised, if the exercise of power was legitimate or not. If there is suspension, comply with the requirements, suspension will be lifted. If there is cancellation, apply for revocation. If revocation is rejected, file an appeal. 86A and 83 need special mention. 86A is blocking of credits. There are 5 reasons mentioned in 86A as to what were the reasons when blocking is permitted. No less than a commissioner needs to grant authorization. If you see Mata Jogdobe's case, it was held that power vested with a high ranking officer is itself the safeguard for the taxpayer. So taxpayer is welcome to call whether this blocking of credits is approved by the commissioner or not. If it is not approved, it will have to be unblocked. If it is approved and blocked, it will not be available for use for a period of 1 year, but once 1 year ends, it will automatically get unblocked. And during this 1 year, show cause notice has to be issued under section 74. If you look at 83, 83 permits provisional attachment. Provisional attachment is only of the taxpayer's property, but it does not take it away from the taxpayer. It is still left with the taxpayer. So therefore, these preemptive powers which are given are limited to maintaining status quo. That's all. So if you keep that in mind, then taxpayer need not fret that something major is going to happen very suddenly and irreversibly.
Right. So yeah, so the next question actually was that what were the actions which the taxpayer can take based on the actions taken by the officer, which sir has already addressed. So basically, the just to summarize, the officer can seek cancellation of registration. If the registration is cancelled, you'll have to apply for revocation. Time limit is of essence. 30 days time limit is given. Second, if he blocks the credit, then in that case, we will have to ask him what are the reasons why the credit has been blocked. Not directly, maybe, but certainly we'll have to ask and see whether it falls under the. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Directly, you have to make a written request to the officer, copy to the Joint Commissioner, asking which of the 5 clauses in Rule 86A that are found to be attracted. They have to give an answer. Now they will be doubly careful to give answers based on the documents they have, and then it will become very clear whether it was exercised legitimately or exercised under mere apprehension.
Right. Perfect, sir. Then third action which can be taken up by the authorities is maybe they can use section 70. So can section 70, which is the power to summon a taxpayer or the director or the partner or the karta, can that also be exercised, sir, as part of this investigation or the drive?
In Andhra Pradesh, since it has been stated it is not an inspection, in entire Andhra Pradesh, they cannot give summons.
Correct.
Wherever they say it is not under 67, no power to summon. Wherever they say it is under 67, they have power to give summon, but they should have INS1. See, INS1 must pre-exist and predate the visit. Then they can give summons. And also, summons is the most impoverished quality of evidence. There is no value in summons. See what happens in summons. What information will be recorded in summons? Is it a fact or an interpretation of fact? If it is a fact, then there is anyway no dispute. Are you a company? Are you a firm? Are you registered? Are you not registered? Have you issued fake invoice? It is interpretation of fact. So the taxpayer is welcome to answer whatever he believes is the truthful answer. If it is correct, then he is competent. If it is incorrect, he is incompetent. See, incompetence and malafides are not close cousins.
Correct.
A person may truthfully state something that is absolutely wrong. Still, he is being truthful. So state whatever you want to state. There is no value in any summons. Till now, I have seen so many statements recorded. There is nothing of any value that has emanated out of summons. And if a show cause notice is constructed entirely based on statements made in summons, one cross-examination will demolish whatever is contained in the statement, because the statements are recorded under great stress, anxiety, and apprehension of adverse consequences. Even if someone says, calm down, sit quietly, drink water, I will still be, my BP will not come down for next 3 days. That is the nature of section 70. So therefore, summons is useless, but summons, yes. If it is under 67, then and then only can summons be issued.
Okay. So once the summons is issued, sir, can the director say, no, I don't know this answer to this question? Can he say that, no, I genuinely don't know because I'm a software engineer, but what you're saying, I'm not able to understand. Is that possible, sir?
Of course. Of course. I mean, that is the most truth. I mean, I don't think there's anything more truthful than a software engineer who's a director of a company saying that I don't understand GST. I would easily believe if a chartered accountant said I don't understand GST. Or I don't understand GST. It is Hanish's magnanimity that you're inviting me to come in and share my own confusions here. I don't understand GST. So therefore, it is perfectly truthful. I mean, if that is the truth, and if someone says, I know GST very well, he's even more lost because he does not even know what he does not know.
Correct.
How badly lost he is, you see?
Correct. True, sir. Great, sir. So I've exhausted all my questions actually. It
Couple of
was quite.
pointers I have to share.
Yes, sir.
If credit is blocked, see, allegations left undisputed become facts. I've been saying this for a long time now. I will continue to keep saying this. Taxpayer's role is not to prove his innocence. Taxpayer is only required to dispute the demand, reject the allegation. Why do you dispute? Is not relevant. I dispute. This is my stand. Once I got very less marks in maths paper in high school. I asked the teacher to explain why I got such less marks. She simply got up and left from the classroom because she considered it unnecessary to offer me explanation because my answer paper was self-explanatory. I dispute the demand. I reject the allegation. Now you see what next you need to do. Now don't sit and see, nobody can convince anybody to immediately agree to the issue at hand. Neither taxpayer nor officer. Taxpayer should not tell the officer, sir, you please drop this and you go away. Tax officer should not tell the taxpayer, you agree to this liability and I will go away. Otherwise, I will not go away. There is no such thing. This is not 2020 match. GST is always 5-day match.
Right.
पहले हमारी बारी, फिर उनकी बारी, फिर हमारी बारी, फिर उनकी बारी. So therefore, 5th day only we will know the result. Don't be in a hurry. 2020 generation is always in a hurry.
True. Very true, sir.
But make your objections known. Make your objections known. But please also consider government is wise. Government is very cautious in using its resources. Officers are sincere in carrying out instructions they have been given. To a assistant commissioner, board instruction is more important than statute. To a CTO, joint commissioner's assignment is a constitution for him.
Right.
Don't expect the officer to disobey his superiors. Let him do his job. Ultimately, if you are sure that you have not put your hands into any mischief, you have nothing to be afraid of. Law is there on your side. It will take some time, perseverance. It is the impatient who are the biggest fools in among taxpayers in GST. Jaldi fatafat khatam karo. Those fools will find they are paying up non-existent liabilities regularly, and we need their money for nation building.
True. Very true, sir. So I have few questions in the chat box. Uh, can I just read that out, sir?
Yes, yes, please.
I will take only those questions which are relevant to the topic. Others I will not be able to take it up in this session.
Yes, yes, I see some questions are completely nervous. What is supply? What is ITC? Many questions are there. We'll stick to this special drive. It is a very odd, it's a special because someone thinks it is special. It's like Mother's Day. Nobody knows whose birthday it is. Nobody knows when it is. Whenever everyone starts wishing, and by the time it's 12 o'clock, you realize it is Mother's Day. Please go ahead. Special drive.
Right. Okay. I think under which Mr. Rajiv has a question. Under which section the special drive is being implemented? Rajiv sir, that's what Jatin sir was highlighting. There is no change between 16th of May and 15th of May. There has been no GST Council meeting. There has been no notifications issued at midnight. So there is no section which has been bought in or a provision which has been bought in. Whatever was applicable on 15th May, the same GST law is applicable even on 16th of May, is what I would say. So there is no specific provision.
Yeah.
Then without any, so I'm just skipping few of the questions. It has been found, Mr. Deep has a question. It has been found in our Gujarat region that the reason in INS 01 is not selected, just signed by JC without selecting the reason. Will it be correct way of issuing INS 01?
No, you need to please see if you can download that handbook from Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI, where there's a very detailed discussion in that handbook about INS 1, Part A, B, and C, etc. And when INS 1 is improperly issued, what consequences arise? It's a very long explanation for this. I will only request you to kindly refer to that handbook of the institute. You will get all the material that you need to come to an answer.
Hemashri has a very pertinent question, especially in Bangalore, sir. This is an issue. I have multiple GST registrations in a single premise. Is that fact that I have multiple registrations in a single premise, will it lead to cancellation of GST registration?
That by itself, is not sufficient eventually to uphold cancellation. But why can it not be enough to suspect some mischief? Suspicion is different from established allegation. So therefore, it is enough to suspect because it looks fishy. Why will have someone have 25 GST number in one small building? Probably. Now look at it the other way around. Somebody who is interested in a fake bill racketeering, how many offices will he go and set up? He will not go and set up 100 offices for 100 GST number. At the same time, if you see all these shared office spaces, in one building, there are 1000 GST number. Neither is indicative of malafides and neither is implicitly bona fide. So therefore, there's good reason for them to proceed. Please permit them to do their job. Don't be anxious. Why do we have so many numbers? If you have, for good reason, taken multiple numbers in one location, please be prepared to answer, not now, but in due course when a question is put.
So Anjana and Ravi have a similar question. Is completing Aadhaar authentication and geocoding, which was introduced some time back, relevant in the context of this special drive?
See, verification through this geotagging and Aadhaar verification was one measure that was taken as a resolution of physical verification requirement. Now they feel there's more reason to do verification, so they're doing this. Aadhaar verification or completed or Aadhaar verification not completed is not relevant at this point if they believe that there's good reason to look for um, your status of your other verification.
So some of them are reposting their questions. So I
Because
just
it's not getting answered, I suppose. So
Yeah.
maybe if you see some repeat questions you ask, there's one question I picked up here regarding rule 5618, whether they can call for books.
Right.
See, books of accounts need to exist at every branch. Let me just take, perhaps it will answer more, a few questions in one go. Cause of action is available in the law. Allegation has to be made through due process of law. Books of accounts need to exist. If it does not exist, then it will trigger a cause of action that will give rise to a consequence in law for not producing the books of accounts. So therefore, take a stand. You understand? Take a stand. Will you produce all the books of accounts on Monday? Take a stand. Yes, no. Please produce all the books of accounts immediately. Yes, no. Please take a printout of all your invoices. Yes, no. Don't worry about the consequence. Don't worry about the consequence. You have to take a stand. Then department will take its stand. What is going to happen? Please bear in mind, if your name has got selected, rightly or wrongly, if your name has got selected, only two choice for you, DRC 3 or DRC 1. DRC 3, you will make some payment immediately. DRC 1, you will suffer a show cause notice. But why did my name get selected? That I don't know. I don't know. When all the boys in class are making noise, why will the teacher single out you only? Because you look like that type of character who should be making the most amount of noise, even though that day you are not making any noise. If your name has got selected, you are now in the test match. There is no excuse. You can't get away. If your name got selected, something you have done. No, I didn't do anything. You don't know what you did. That is how adventurous you are. If your name is selected, you are in the match. You have to play this game. Please contact Hanish. He'll help you play the game.
Right, sir. You've been very modest here. Now, that brings us to a very interesting question which Hari has posted. Why out of 5 people, only one was selected? So Hari is also intending on that only. So he's read the instruction and he's extracted that portion of the instruction which was a little vague. He has highlighted human intelligence. I don't know why. He says human intelligence, Aadhaar database, local knowledge and past detection experience can also be used to supplement the identification process. Few examples which can be relevant in this context. So I think he's trying to say one is system-based identification. Second, the officers also can create their own list using these parameters. So he's asking if some examples can be given.
Now, Hari started to analyze the instruction. This instruction is not for Hari. This instruction is for officers. Wherever, see, writing up instructions is not easy. I mean, if someone is interested, please sit and write one instruction how to issue show cause notice for 16.4. You will find that you will not be able to finish that instruction even after 3 months. While issuing instructions, some room must be left for experience, wisdom of officers to feed intelligence and select cases for verification. So therefore, there is some room left. It is not a close-ended instruction saying these finite number of sources only should be the basis, because I'll tell you why. Look at how this human intelligence can also be to the taxpayer's advantage. Let us say there's a system that says someone's GSTR 7 and R1 3B are not matching. Knowing that the business of the taxpayer is as a works contractor, there is an inherent lag in the business between TDS and time of supply. So this human intelligence can come into the taxpayer's rescue and they can exclude this assessee from this exercise. So therefore, please don't look at everything in the instruction as a reason to lead to an adverse inference, but it could lead to a positive inference also, where officer can say, no, although the report says that this is a suspicious transaction, based on these factors, I don't think we should devote resources to verify this particular GST number.
So I think it's more like our audit which we conduct, where we pick out some samples, and generally one of the sample months which we want to verify is March, because we know that there are going to be orders which will be booked just for the purpose of building revenue or booking the revenue. So why March was selected was by past experience, which is a human intelligence. That could be one of the ways of looking at this. Now, I think I'll take the last question because we're very close to 6 p.m. And Kedar has a very interesting question, actually, which I think will sum up the entire discussion. He says special drive is conducted. Taxpayer was his business premise was verified. Nothing was found. Is it a validation of taxpayer being honest?
It could be a validation of taxpayer being honest. Why not? It could also be that the officer was incompetent.
It's like those
I feel no finding does not establish either. It is just a neutral no finding. It's no certificate of taxpayer's moral rectitude.
We get these income tax certificates if we file the returns on time and pay taxes. That certificate is good in the frame, but if there is something wrong, they can definitely issue notices to us.
I'll just add one comment here. The society is looking to the government as a helpless stakeholder to see if this government will let mischief makers go scot-free. So, in order to do justice to society, government has to take measures like this. And when they go after 100 taxpayers, there could be 2 taxpayers who are put to hardship, but that hardship will not be long lasting. As long as you take support of the law and avail the rights, remedies, and safeguards available, taxpayer has nothing to be anxious or fearful of. The only thing is taxpayer needs to be patient. Taxpayer cannot be impatient in procedures in GST.
Thank you, sir. This is a very important point, actually, what you're making, that we don't have to be very scared or anxious about this entire drive, because this is being done. If you see the instruction which has been issued, the modus operandi which is being used to, create fake registrations using Aadhaar and mobile number of some people who are not able to access the technology, and then misusing the entire GST platform, has to be addressed and checked for our own benefit. So there could be some inconvenience for all of us, but we have to take it in a positive way and ensure that this entire drive is successful, not with active and enthusiastic cooperation, but with a passive cooperation, like what sir suggested. Right. So thank you very much, sir. It's always a pleasure listening to you. Thank you very much for accepting our invite, and thank you very much to the participants. From the beginning till now, we had 226 participants to be exact. Not even one person has left. So there's a add in a subtract, but there are constantly more than 200 plus participants. That speaks about how much impact you can make, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for joining us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
organizing.